Have you ever felt the weight of expectation on your shoulders? That heavy, suffocating feeling when someone believes in you so much. It's both a blessing and a curse. Now, imagine that person is Dana White, the formidable boss of the UFC, and he isn't just patting you on the back. He's looking the world in the eye and declaring you're the next Conor McGregor, the next Ronda Rousey. He's placing a crown on your head before you've even won the kingdom. This isn't a fairy tale. This was the reality for Cynthia Calvillo, and her story, with all its dizzying highs and gut-wrenching lows, has finally reached its poignant final chapter. Let's rewind the clock to 2017. The MMA world was electric. The shadows of McGregor and Rousey, two larger-than-life figures who had transcended the sport and crashed into the mainstream, loomed large. The UFC, a promotional machine always hunting for its next megastar, had its eyes peeled. They needed that next spark, that combination of raw talent, unshakable confidence, and that indefinable it factor. And then, Cynthia Calvillo burst onto the scene. She wasn't just winning, she was dominating. With 2 blistering submission victories on back-to-back pay-per-view cards, she looked like an unstoppable force. The hype was real, and it was deafening. After her second UFC win at UFC 210, Dana White did something he rarely does. He didn't just praise her in a media scrum. He had a chair brought out for her, placing her by his side at the post-fight press conference, a symbolic anointing for all the world to see. The words he spoke that night would follow Calvillo for the rest of her career. He recalled the first time he met Conor McGregor, telling his business partner, "I don't know if this guy can fight, but if he could even throw a punch, he's gotta be a rock star." He remembered his 45-minute meeting with Ronda Rousey that convinced him to bring women into the UFC. Then, he pointed to the woman sitting beside him. "I feel pretty strongly about this one too," White declared, his voice filled with conviction. "I love the way that she eats pressure. She conducted herself as the badass that she is. I'm very impressed with her performance, and I'm a fan." In that moment, Cynthia Calvillo was no longer just a promising prospect. She was the chosen one. The pressure was immense, a tidal wave of expectation from the fans, the media, and the most powerful man in the sport. For a while, she surfed that wave beautifully, but in the brutal, unforgiving world of mixed martial arts, the tide always eventually turns. The journey from the top of the mountain to the valley below is often quicker and far more painful than the climb up. For Calvillo, the dream began to fray at the edges. After being on the very brink of a title shot in 2020, her career hit a devastating wall. One loss turned into 2, then 3, 4, and 5. A heartbreaking 5-fight losing streak that saw her momentum completely evaporate. It was a brutal reminder of how cruel this sport can be, where a fighter's entire world can be upended in a matter of minutes, again and again. The skid was compounded by a cancelled fight due to missing weight, a sign of the immense physical and mental toll the grind was taking. In 2024, the inevitable happened. The UFC, the home that had once heralded her as its next queen, released her. The dream, as it was once so vividly painted, was over. For many, that would have been the end, to fade away on a losing streak, a story of what could have been. But that's not who Cynthia Calvillo is. That's not the badass Dana White saw all those years ago. She wanted to leave on her own terms. Over the weekend, away from the blinding lights of the UFC, she stepped into the cage one last time for Hex Fight Series 3. She fought with the heart and grit that defined her career, and she won. She got her hand raised one final time, not as the heir apparent, not as the next megastar, but as a warrior who refused to let her story be defined by its darkest chapter. It was a quiet moment of redemption, a victory for herself. A day later, the official announcement came, a heartfelt farewell posted on social media that was filled with raw emotion and gratitude. It's time to say goodbye to a sport that I gave everything to and that I loved so much, she wrote, each word carrying the weight of 1,000 training sessions, 1,000 sacrifices. I wasn't ready to let it go just yet, but life and opportunities that fizzled out has led me to pursue the next chapter in my life. You can feel the conflict in those words, the fighter's spirit clinging on while the person knows it's time to move forward. She poured out her thanks to her coaches, to Dana White, Sean Shelby, and Mick Maynard for letting this little girl from East Side San Jose live her dream.